Hey everyone, Catherine Avery, Reservate Interior Design. I was on yesterday, but prior to that I was off for about a week, and the reason is I had been very sick. I got some kind of virus, head cold thing, and I sounded like, I don't know, death warmed over. It wasn't pretty, I could barely speak. So there wasn't much Facebook Live videotaping happening. And I have to be honest, I've fallen off the wagon a little bit on Facebook Live videotaping. And if I'm squinting at you, it's because the sun is glaring in my face, so I apologize. But it's better than having this big dark shadow over my face. We're going to talk about lighting today, so you'll find out why I'm mentioning this. I have decided to do an A to Z design directory. Okay, I think I'm back. So this A to Z design directory, so here's the plan. A lot of people ask me, what in heaven's name are you talking about? And I really try very hard not to confuse my clients, and I do explain things. But I think it's worthwhile. There are so many interesting terms in the world of interior design and architecture and productivity that a lot of people don't know. So I was going to start with A, and I'm using the words ambient and accent. So these are two ways to describe layers of light. And because there are 3 layers of light, there's no point in not just discussing the third, which is task lighting, which is a T, I know. Bear with me. We'll come up with something creative later for that. So, ambient light. And the reason I sat outside was to show you the best form of ambient light, which is natural light. Provides vitamin D, makes you feel really good, lifts your spirits. There are studies done that show that employees who have a window in their office are more productive, they're happier, they're healthier. That's because the light, the natural light streaming in, it's easier for them to work. The only time natural light becomes sort of problematic is if it's streaming straight onto your computer screen. So you'll want to turn your computer screen to make, not have the shadows that are beaming onto your I didn't say any of that well, so that the computer screen doesn't get glaring light, it's the opposite actually, not shadows, onto the computer screen. You also want to make sure that whatever you've got floating around doesn't throw big shadows onto anything either. So ambient light is that overhead, soft, diffuse light. You can get it from having lamps around the room, but mostly you would be thinking of it in office spaces as those big fluorescent lights. They call them T8s, and they are have fluorescent tubes. Unfortunately, they provide a very cool kind of light that's not really very realistic, and I find they're better if you use some warmer bulbs. So what are our options? Option 1, you can replace them with full spectrum bulbs that can be popped right in there. You just have to look and make sure that you've got the right size fluorescent tube for it. And that's certainly something a designer can help you with. Another option is to put in LED tubes, and those LED light is also one that's not as warm. So here's the deal. We all grew up with incandescent lighting. Incandescent lighting was sort of what we dream of as the ideal form of light, right? It's very warm, it's very comforting, it's what we're used to. And that was phased out, I think, in 2014. At least that was the plan. And I'm really finding now, as we're buying new light bulbs, even just for our house, that you don't see incandescent lighting anywhere anymore. So that's gone. And there are some really good reasons. Incandescent lighting, the bulbs would let out 80% of their energy in excessive heat. So there was not enough energy value from using incandescent. That's why there was this move to fluorescent and LED and away from incandescent, was so that we could all be more energy efficient. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a really big deal if you're talking about a corporate office building. So the energy output starts to really add up quickly. Because not only then do you have the heat output, but then you also have to think about air conditioning that heat, right? So we've already got a lot of heat output coming from our computers, and none of that has anything to do with ambient and accent lighting, it just is overall lighting stuff. So let's go back to ambient. So ambient light, overhead, very diffused, natural light is the ideal. Accent lighting, just what it sounds like, it's for accent pieces. So that could be your corporate signage, that could be a wonderful piece of artwork you have, that could be to highlight a specific wall, perhaps wall washers down a brick wall or a water feature. You might want accent lighting to help people find their way. So let's say it's at the end of a long hall and you want people to know where that door is. There could be an accent light highlighting that door so that people know which way to go. So think of it as wayfinding. And at home, that all still applies. You would have highlight sculptures or art on your walls. And then the last lighting, and it's exceptionally important when you're working in office, is task lighting. So I know there's this trend amongst designers to reduce how many overhead lights you have, and I'm getting older and I don't see as well as I used to, and the fact is that does matter. As you get older, you do need more light. So this is where task lighting can really help. And think of task lighting in a couple of ways. You're reading a book, you always want to have a nice reading lamp right there. Preferably one that you can direct so that you can put the light onto the book so you can see. Don't have it back here so that you have your head creating a big shadow onto the book. Note how I've got this big no shadow going here because of the angle I'm at. That's all I can look at, by the way. So here you can see, just look at my hand and you can see how there's this shadow coming across. You don't want that. Same with your workspace at your desk. So you've got your computer. Remember, you don't want light blaring straight onto your computer. You're not going to be able to easily see the screen. You want it turned away from the sunlight. And you want to have a task light by your desk that is directable. I have one that directionable. I'm not sure how you say that. Something that you can turn so you can put it where you want it. I have one that's called an OT light. There's another company that makes them, and of course it's gone right out of my head right now. But my friend Julie Clark will chime in and tell you what it's called. I'm sorry. I know it starts with an N. OT light does full spectrum lighting. I tend towards the world of seasonal affective disorder. I'm not someone who's happy in dark, gray, dull days of winter. I like sunshine and sunlight, and maybe I was a plant, maybe I was a cat in a former life. All I know is I like light. So I have a full spectrum light that I can direct above the work I'm doing at any given time on my desk. So if I'm writing checks or filling out a form, I will say most of the work I do is on the computer. It's pretty rare. The one thing I am doing a lot of, and it's handwritten, is my book. I'm finding it fascinating that I prefer to handwrite it as opposed to type it. So we'll see where that's going to go. I have a feeling that Sasha's going to be transcribing all that, or else I'm going to have to send it out to transcription service, and I don't have very good handwriting. But that'll be okay. We'll figure it out. At any rate, I'll wrap up on this beautiful, sunny, natural light day. First letter of the alphabet, A, ambient and accent lighting, and the bonus of T for task lighting. Those are your 3 layers of light: ambient, which is your overall diffused light; accent, which pinpoints anything you would really like to highlight in a room; and task lighting, which helps you see the things you're doing. Hope you all have an amazing day. Here's to a more productive environment, and lighting does play a very important role in your productive environment. And may you have more productivity, more profitability, and more peace of mind.